On today's video, part 2 of Kingdom 59 versus Kingdom 46 in Lost Kingdom 2. This is a few hours into Light and Darkness's Kingsland opening up, and in this video, we got Kingdom 46 firing back, as well as the rest of the alliances and kingdoms in this Lost Kingdom, 6 other to be exact. We're gonna go look at a little bit of activity by them all and how they fared, and how Kingdom 46 tried to fire back. So sit back, drop a like on the video. Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Gekko Gaming. Today we're back into Lost Kingdom 2 as 8 kingdoms are now in Kingsland, duking it out. These are the A teams, Kingdom 59 versus Kingdom 46, where I am in a rally right now, rallying a flag out. And here's the thing. We were on the top left corner of that crazy Kingsland, and in this video we're also going to go look at our fellow alliance mates, teammates, as well as other kingdoms in this Lost Kingdom duking it out. Before we start though, I'm a sponsored content creator by Rise of Kingdoms. If you enjoy the content, make sure you drop a like on the video, and of course hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell. 57.8% of you are not subscribed yet. What are you waiting for? Here's the deal. When we last left, I showed you guys how the flagging kind of turned out, where were the fights happening. This is one of those flags we were rallying in the last video as well. But things kept going the way they usually do, you know? It's just flags get rallied, they might burn, they might not. If they burn, they get put out, more defenses go in, and the rallies keep coming out. The open field presence was insane, the fighting was great, and so this was the peak hour. Now, at this point, we're still kind of like just sitting at work in the office and trying to get into flags and rallies and all that, have our armies nearby to refill rallies or flags or whatever it is, while kind of working at the same time. So we left the camera there for the Archer rally to do its work, and man, it delivered. This Archer rally wasn't necessarily like the ultimate result of what we wanted per se, because usually it's all together is what you rally with and that's it. But the idea of having Archer rallies like this one, which is super strong, is it helps you thin out your opposition a little bit. It makes them so that when they use infantry against you, you do better damage and better trades. And we knew at this stage that we're filling with a little bit of tier 4s, more tier 4s than tier 5s, quite frankly. And these guys are defending with a lot of tier 5s. So for us, these kinds of exchanges, where it was infantry against archers, a Charles Martel, Constantine, which are first generation, second generation infantry commanders against like the third generation archer commanders, was a really, really painful trade-off, and it worked out really well. In the open field in the meantime, the folks were having a great time, and I was sitting there just like, I wish I could join, but it can't play and work at the same time. So we stayed to fill rallies, we stayed to fill flags, and just did whatever we could in there. Look at the amount of rallies going on, flags being rallied everywhere. There's a ton of things happening at the same time. We're trying to kind of help out our alliance mates while we're like doing this, people healing all over the place. It was nuts. At this stage, they even started going around and trying to swarm our rally, and then our swarmers came in to swarm their swarmers. It was crazy. In Lost Kingdom, and especially during these kinds of wars, it's more like war of attrition. But at the same time, when you do something like these guys, you counter rally a rally. What you're trying to do is you're trying to play the mechanics in your favor. So the way a counter rally on a rally works is that you're trying to input as much damage as possible into the rally, because theoretically, you should be breaking off your rallies once they go below 700,000 troops, because at that stage, you're trading very unfavorably. However, because we were doing tier 4s against tier 5s, that unfavorable was still fairly favorable to us. That counter rally with the cavalry in it definitely did tons and tons of damage to our rally. But at the end of the day, you'll see the report in a moment, the trade-offs were not that bad at all. When you take a peek at the report, we're looking at 1.9 million loss against the 800,000-ish. Our numbers are a little bit lower than theirs in terms of the numbers total, but the power tells the story. They lost a substantial amount more power than we did, and that was kind of the name of the game of all of this thing. We kept building flags, rallying whatever was there before, putting a flag down, putting the defenses in, and hoping they'd attack back. Now, at this stage, we're probably like a couple of hours, 2-3 hours in, and no rally on us yet. Nothing. And so it was time to go take a peek at what our friends and the other teams who are also friends, by the way, were doing. Kingdoms, the folks in green and pink were here fighting it out. Pink of 256 started at about a fairly big disadvantage against 204. The amount of crazy resource nodes that you see there were just stupendous. And these guys just couldn't get a flag down to save their life. And it wasn't necessarily their fault. It was more of a very unfortunate skill, nature's gift, which allows you to just dump resource tiles everywhere, wherever you choose. There is no limitation as to where you can send it. So that skill was a real killer for 256, and we're going to talk about that in a bit in this video. But for now, you get to see rallies all over the place. I mean, heck, rallies were going out all over. We get to see Attila Takeda's out. We got to see some Edwards out. We got to see tons of flags burning. The folks in red taking the damage right now, but they are going up against 173 not being a joke at all. These guys were not about to let this go down. And C9N just burning everything. When I went to look at what C9N are doing, kind of like, you know what I'm saying, look for some action, record a rally or something. I look around, all the flags are burning. And I was like, well, this is awkward. What do I record? How do I show the tenacity that these guys had? And I guess that's how you do it. Every single flag around that they could touch was burning. This one was the last one, and it too burned about 2-3 minutes after I was done recording this area. I just kept going, and when I came back, that thing was burning. I was like, what? Those guys at C9N and the folks in general of that Kingdom 122 are just something else. Now, here's the thing. Let's talk about a little bit of what's going on in Lost Kingdom in general, and why this Kingsland is really, really, really frustrating. In the previous video, I mentioned to you guys how really jumping mountains makes fortresses completely obsolete. And one of you guys commented in the video and said, like, can you imagine in that really small zone forts too? This would have been nuts. The same thing can be said about nature's gift. That skill is just stupendous. As you can see, 256 finally managed to get themselves into a more offensive position. It took them a little bit. It's not that they're a bad kingdom or they don't know how to war. None of that. It's just they had a very unfortunate placement of resources that just made it hard for them to push out early on. We got to watch this rally, and while we do, shout out to the folks of 256, go back to their issue, which was nature's gift. That skill, my personal opinion on it, should be only allowed to be triggered on alliance territory, and that's it. That thing is more often used as a deterrent in war to stop folks from building flags than anything else. If you're in a kingdom that can have 6-7 of these alliances that can have that skill enabled, in Kingsland, you can quite literally block a pass for almost from the pass all the way to the ziggurat with tons and tons of resource nodes to the point where there's no spot to put a flag and pretty much lock your opposition in before it even started. I've seen it happen. In here it happened at a smaller magnitude, but the pain that 256 suffered can be magnified drastically if you have enough alliances available to drop that skill. And I know a few kingdoms that do have that capability, and in that point in time, what ends up happening is just half of that Kingsland becomes nature's gift. Now, one cool thing to point out that's happening on the screen right now is a counter rally was launched on 256. These guys were not messing around. They literally went and just swarmed the counter rally out of existence. And while we finish up this nature's gift point, there's one more to make, which is this kingdom versus kingdom. The theme was very interesting. It went from rallying a flag and a counter rally on the rally to insane swarms on the counter rally off the rally. Back in the day, what you'd see is a rally on the objective, a counter rally on the rally. More often than not, the main rally would disband, or it would wait until it drops below 700,000 troops and then disband. In this KVK, and not only in Lost Kingdom 2, right? In all of them that I've noticed, we've had situations where counter rallies to main rallies hitting flags or structures were just straight up swarmed out the wazoo. Now, do I advise it? I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea. Swarming a rally is very painful. It'll cost you quite a bit, but it's in severely wounded. If you have enough people out there with enough tier 4s to be able to swarm a rally successfully with a shared burden of like 15 people, 10 people, how many can hit it, hitting and sharing the burden of the damage, then you can really get rid of a counter rally like you guys just saw very, very easily with a fairly, it's a significant hit, but is not as significant of a hit. Meaning you can probably get away with healing everything up even at a slow heal of 3,000 troops per 30 helps. You can get it done fairly quickly and get yourself back into the action. Even if you just want to speed it up, what you'll get like 20,000, 30,000 severely wounded out of swarming a rally with 10 people in that swarm. Definitely something that's worth doing, except when it's in a Tel Takeda. When you see an Tel Takeda, it's just swarming an Tel Takeda rally is always a bad idea. Now, folks did do it. Folks definitely did do it. And folks definitely did not care about going in on an Tel Takeda rally and swarming it. But the price you pay is substantially heavy. Tel Takeda's biggest issue is that their damage and counter damage, the normal damage and counter damage, is stupendously high. And that just causes a situation where it doesn't matter how many swarm, everybody's going to get a huge amount of losses. And the only reason it's a good thing to swarm with multiple people in multiple marches is that the rally will go down quicker, which means you will sustain less losses because you're fighting for less time. This is also another point that I was going to bring up in this video, which is when is it good to extend a fight? In general, when you're in a flag, you want to try to hold on to it as much as humanly possible. But at the end of the day, you got to remember that you also have the capabilities of extinguishing a flag, and you do have cooldown in between extinguishes. So it is realistic to allow a flag to burn, to then refill it and only then take a heavier defense approach so that you're defending while the cooldown is going on, and as soon as the cooldown's over, you can allow the flag to burn and instantly rebuild it, fill back in, and get it done. This is one of the things that I haven't noticed enough, and I haven't seen enough people doing in Lost Kingdom. By the way, a second counter rally, this time at Tel Takeda. Remember what I just said about taking heavy damages? Yeah, 256 did not even care. They went after this at Tel Takeda, and they took a beating. Look at the health of all these swarmers just going down like crazy. But at the end of the day, they needed to get this Tel Takeda off of that Edward, and they wanted to get this flag burned. Take the hit, swarm that thing. Very expensive, very painful, but it is what it is. Timing hits on flags and on buildings is very critical. I've yet to see anyone micro-optimize to that extent. Allowing the flag to burn by not necessarily putting in all your defensive effort into it, especially when it's a rally that you see that is very well defended and has reinforcements and all that good stuff, it might be worth it to allow a flag to burn, to then put all your chips into one basket that is being healed right now because you put it out. But while that cooldown is going on, you're trying to hold on to that as much as humanly possible. Granted, if you can't hold on, then you have a burnage going on until the cooldown is over, which is very dangerous because that's how flags go down. But I've seen enough people defending burning flags, which doesn't make any sense to me. The flag is burning. Why are you losing troops? Why are you allowing a rally to hit your troops when even if you win the rally, your flag will still keep burning? So I didn't get that one. This was a successful flag burn. And then DSP, wake up. Finally, a rally comes our way. We're like trying to figure out what we're doing. Like, all right, we want this, we want infantry. We're defending with full infantry. Cool. Stick those infantries in there, bring the troops closer, march our way. At this point, we're pretty far away by the gate because there was nowhere to port. Moving our marches in, and we did get into that flag later on in this video, you'll see, and we were there to secure it against a couple of rallies. DSP all of a sudden woke up from flagging, and then 5-6 flags burning. These guys started sending a Tel Takeda rallies out. G-Boss and 1011, I believe, both of them really just Tel Takeda-ing as much as they can. But as you saw, JWM is not afraid of swarming an Attila Takeda with a nice Artemisia in there, with some good combos of commanders that are countering Attila Takeda as much as humanly possible. A little bit of silencing, a little bit of the Artemisia skills go firing up, a little bit of Leonidas and Guan Yu on the field, and you can see the result of all that. It was just an Attila Takeda rally that just couldn't stop the flags. Not a single flag burned in this instance. I believe that only one flag burned overall for JWM, and that was when we were defending live on stream one of these flags that they decided to randomly come out of, and most of JWM was just asleep at that point. And it wasn't because JWM usually sleeps, it's more because, alright, well they're defeated, I'm going to bed, and turns out they weren't. That's also a nice little interesting strategy. Yes, JWM do sleep, by the way. That's a joke. So, it is a viable thing, right? To say, okay, well, let's just get wrecked, make them drop their guard, and then we push back out. Didn't work out really well for DSP, and that was primarily because we had some allies awaken in the area that could help us out, while Kingdom 59 was a bit low on presence at the time. Attila Takeda rallies by DSP were pretty strong, but we've already grown accustomed to having to take these Attila Takedas from many different tests as well, Cyrus League and all that good stuff. So the defense was fairly strong. It was fairly substantial. And look at this. I was just trying to get into the flag. Getting into flags in JWM is the roughest thing ever. These guys refill those flags like that. It was just ridiculous. And even though I still need to pop my 310,000 troop expansion. And here's the report from that flag rally. A fairly successful 1.2 to 1.2 hold. The numbers were fairly even. Not a bad trade at all. When you're trying to defend, if you can go even is a great time. What you're really not trying to do is take losses and take a little bit of a better trade in their side, because that's how they drain you down slowly and steadily. In this case, we had our archers only flag in here. We also tried to get in here. I believe we did get in here eventually. Attila Takeda against an Artemisia defense, and then the swarm comes in. It was that Attila Takeda stood no chance, and that's this war in a nutshell. It was just a couple of Attila Takedas coming out consistently, getting swarmed and properly garrisoned, and from there, this rallies all over the place. Archer rallies, cavalry rallies, infantry rallies, everything went out, and this flag was the main point of contest as far as I remember. And once this flag went out, there pretty much most of them went out the window too. And this was the only time I believe we double rallied. I don't remember us double rallying anything beyond this. And of course, our verification's about to pop, which sucks mid-recording to get verification. At a double rally, the funny thing is, the infantry garrison was actually going ham on with the archers hitting it. That was the first attacking rally. And then the Attila Takeda came in second, which is primarily taking out counter damage, as the main focus of the infantry is this archer march. So you remember that when you are surrounding and you have multiple rallies or multiple marches hitting anything, the first one to do it is the one that'll take the attack. It'll be the one that the armies you're fighting faces, and then anyone else who comes in for the surround becomes a counter damage march. So in this scenario, the damage was being done to the archers, which were doing a little bit better against these infantries. Look at the march of frowny faces starting. I told you about this before. DSP had a ton of troops in there, but Attila Takeda taking some counter damage, which is okay. Charles Martel's still very good for that. Just burned the heck out of this flag. And the trades were fairly good. I think I was in this Cav March, but I wasn't in the Archer March, obviously, because it was a different alliance. And so this was it. It was about a good few hours. We still have a couple of extra pieces of footage to show you guys. We'll do one more video to wrap up this war that happened and tell you guys what are the next steps of this Lost Kingdom, what are the things that came out of this Lost Kingdom. And the next video is going to be a little bit different. You'll have a ton of action as always, but I do want to give you a different perspective on how this Lost Kingdom came to be, what's going to come out of this Lost Kingdom, and it'll also give you a little bit of a better understanding on where things are headed inside this Lost Kingdom. I believe that's going to come out still this week. I think on Friday. I'm not entirely sure. For now, we got a crazy zeroing coming up this week as well, with a lot of awesome rallying strategy in that video. We have a ton of content still to come, including Lost Kingdom 13's massive comeback. Kingdom, I believe, what was it, 239? I don't remember. Don't get mad at me. I know all the information. I just don't remember it right now. We have a crazy video coming up this week about that comeback. Here's another rally report before we leave on a flag G-Boss doing some damage, but not enough. I'm Gekko. I'm out of here. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel with the bell turned on, because in the next week, we're going to have so much war video action madness going on, from 154 million power players zeroed, the craziness of Lost Kingdom 13, the wrapping up this Lost Kingdom, and of course, we have so much more for you guys in the backlog. So make sure you're hitting the subscribe button, smashing the like, and I'll see you guys sooner rather than later. Take care. Peace.